Grace and peace, everyone. You saw the thumbnail, you saw the title. So you know what we're about to do. Hopefully, you had a fantastic Friday. Happy Friday to each of you. We're back. So we are going to be talking about just an update, if you will, just a catch up on what happened this week in the YSL trial. There was a lot of weird stuff that transpired, I think, that really threw people off. So I want to talk about that and get your feedback. So I'm going to be dropping the link in the chat. Hear what you're thinking. What are your thoughts about the trial and the such of that nature? And then we're going to get a bug up out of here. It's Friday. Now, this evening, later on tonight, I actually have two guests coming on, the Aussie Insider and the Defense Rest podcast. And we're going to be talking about the Karen Reid trial. So a little something different. Get off of this craziness that we know as the YSL trial and talk about some, I guess, craziness that we call the Karen Reid trial. So hopefully you all had a fantastic 2 days off from YSL. We want to talk about that as well. Maybe a little bit more because a lot of people saw lots of comments everywhere. Why is there no trial today? Why are they not in today? I think those are all valid questions. We'll talk about those as well and get your, again, I just want to get your feedback. What are you thinking about this trial and how it's been going so far? There's a lot of perspective, lots of perspective on what's been transpiring and lots of feelings, lots of thoughts, especially, my goodness, go over Twitter and you'll see very quickly there are lots of opinions about this trial. And for the most part, I think it's fair to say, lots of people feel the same way about what's going on with watching and injustice. If I can just put one word out there, most people, there's a misspelling in my poll. I am so sorry. Most people probably agree that this trial is going the wrong direction. They don't agree with the way that it's transpiring, the way it's being handled, so on and so forth. And so there's that one case. Now, there are some people that, of course, feel like everything is going sunshine and rainbows. I haven't met many of those people, but I'm sure they're out there. And they have their opinion, just like we have our opinion. And I think it'll all be what it is. There we go. And so I just want to give you an opportunity tonight to give your feelings and such. There are two clips I want to play that I found that were pretty helpful, I felt, to give an overview of this week and what's transpired in court this week. Let me go ahead and put this in there real quick. I'm gonna drop the link, as I always ask, that you keep your camera on. So that will mean that Rome King will make his appearance today. I ask that you use no profanity. And I ask that we stay on topic so we can all get through. And of course, we want to talk about this trial and such like that. So we want to get into that point as quickly as possible. We want to stay around there. And we'll maybe save a little bit of time this evening at the 7 o'clock show, maybe to do a little bit of off-taskness, if you will. And we'll budget that in there as well. So let me pull this in. This is just the summary, the newscast summary of what's happened this week, particularly one of the more standout moments from this week. Let's go.
High-profile YSL trial has had it with delays and confusion in the courtroom, calling out the prosecution today. Atlanta News First Yasmina Alston is live at 5 from the Fulton County Courthouse. And Yasmina, that confusion was around a state's witness and a missing file.
Yeah, and a big part of today was spent trying to figure out where that missing file suddenly came from. That file had reports from the state's witness, who is a now retired police investigator.
Confusion and back and forth between the state and defense continues as the lengthy YSL trial carries on. On Wednesday, an investigator for the state was on the stand, but a big part of the day was spent figuring out where a missing file suddenly came from. That file contained reports from the state's witness, who is now retired police investigator Gaither. The confusion started when the state had Gaither identify her file during questioning. A file the defense had previously been asking for, but were told by the state reports in the file were lost.
You know, I mean,
I do understand, but I just want to make clear that this is not something that we tried to conceal from anybody, given we served this.
I understand. Obviously, if they confirm that they already have the contents, that's not necessarily up for debate. It's just that the knowledge that it's Sergeant Gaither's is new. And when you learn it, it'd be nice to share it with the other people.
After much back and forth, Gaither was able to answer questions about her file, and it turned out not all of the pages in that file belonged to her. This all had to be made clear in the courtroom, but not before some strong words from the defense.
These men are all fighting for their lives. I don't know how we get to a point where we just grab a file and then just throw it in front of a detective, and the detective's like, yeah, looks like my file, in front of a jury. And then over a lunch break, then we determine, well, it's actually not her file. And again, none of us were even told about the file before it was even presented in front of the witness.
And all of this happening a day after Judge Whitaker basically called out the state for all of the delays happening in this trial. Live at the Fulton County Courthouse, Yasmina Alston, Atlanta News First.
Atlanta News First continues to cover the YSL trial, gavel to gavel. We have full coverage streaming on Atlanta News First Plus. You can get it on YouTube, Roku, Apple TV, and Fire.
All right. So I see a lot of people saying they're glad that this made it the news. I'm glad it did too. My only concern is that it actually produced something. That's what I'm not sold that it's going to actually do anything. Because remember the day before, and they just mentioned it, the day before, that's the day that Judge Whitaker really chewed out Adrian Love. And like the next day they came back. Well, I apologize. After she chewed her out, she came back and not a lot really changed. Not a lot really moved. They didn't really move the needle. And so I don't know what it's going to take to get this judge to move not in the favor of, but just in the favor of the defense, not in the favor of the prosecution, but in the favor of doing what's right by the defendants, right by being just and fair. Because it hit me also today. Now, they're out of court because of the Jewish holiday yesterday and today. And I'm not really 100% certain I understand why they're out Monday and Tuesday, but they're not going to be there Monday and Tuesday. And most of us have no problem with that. We got work to do. I can finally go do some chores, this, that, and the other, and the other. And we'll just jump back in on Wednesday. It'll be, all sunshine and rainbows for us. But you do realize that those men are in jail during our break. Those men are in jail during our free time, during our time, what do they call it? Non-jury day. During those non-jury days, they're in jail. And it just seems really disingenuous for Judge Whitaker to say things like this: the state is wasting time, which, by the way, I agree. But they bend over backwards to not be at work. Let's just tell the truth. They're not at work, and they could be doing something that will move this game forward, if for no other reason but because these men are going to be in jail or these men should be free. One or the other. There's not really another option since she refused to give bond. But what are y'all thinking? What are y'all thinking? In the chat, I see Ray. I see Miss Mandy in the building. Grace and peace. She's going to be with me later on this evening. Ray, good to see you, sir. My brother Rome King says this is textbook sandbagging. I mean, I don't even understand why that file is even considered. Given the fact that you have no idea who put papers in it, allegedly. You have no idea. I mean, throw the whole thing out and all of its wears and tears. Like, that makes no sense. Oh, shout out to Shannon. Always. Thanks so much for stopping through. Lacey's here. How are you? They need to go and wait, but it's Atlanta, it's news. And I realize that, especially now, well, not only now, but when you're really digging in, you'll notice news segments are only going to be at the very most aggressive news segment in the local news. It's probably going to be about 5 minutes, maybe. Most of them are going to be about 2 minutes. And if it's just a passing word, you're getting about 45 seconds. So the fact that it got almost 2 minutes and 15 seconds was already hats off at tip. But we did that video earlier about the life of Jeffrey Williams. Very good, well done, well produced. It's like 20 minutes, I believe. that was like a special segment. Like they had to do a whole clear out an entire segment in order to play that. So the news is not really committed to exposing this stuff because, again, they would have to on the regular broadcast. Now, sure, because there's a lot that they can do online, they can put those kind of things online now, and it doesn't take from their TV time or it doesn't take from their ad revenue, however that's broken down. I can kind of understand that. It just seems still they're not committed to it, even in that. Good to see you, transplanted Texan. I see you, Mahola. What you say here? Yep, she chewed her out and then went back acting like nothing happened. I, it's sad. It's kind of like you have children and your child gets in trouble and they got to go take a nap. You go take a nap and they go take a nap and they wake up and they're totally different. Like they were just sleepy. And that's how Judge Whitaker comes across. Like she can be stern. They take that first break, they come back different. What is the jurors, Kim says, they are going to see this. They've been seeing this. Let's just give it up. I watched the video where they selected the jury because somebody made a comment about Judge Glanville gave an order to the jury, ask a question to the jury in the early part of this. And I'm trying to find it. So I've been looking through and they don't care. I'm sorry. There is 0.0% chance that they care if the jury is in this chat. They don't care. They don't. They say it as a perfunctory obligation to say, now don't be on that internet. Don't you be over there researching. Don't you dare talk to anybody about it. They don't care. They don't care. Because if they did, this case would have already been over with. Hands down, that's it. So Outcast Podcast says, why did no one say anything about her being rebuked and admonished the other day when she did that with Sprinkle? It's not, if you're saying, we said it here on DWC News Network, but as the Atlanta News is not committed to it. They're not. I mean, well, one, the case is well past the general population's attention span. Let's just be honest. If most of us weren't dialed in to and kind of committed to these podcasts and these daily interactions, most people wouldn't even care. And let's just also be honest, 2024 has been crazy. So there's more than enough to distract us. And the Atlanta News is not committed to doing a daily update on this because, one, I think most people know here in Atlanta know that this is not the problem. YSL is not the problem in Atlanta. Oh, by the way, if you're new here, my name is Jason and I live here in Atlanta. I live outside of Fulton County, just down the street around the corner from Fulton County. But I think most news outlets realize that people can't commit to, remember, we are now knocking on the second year. We're about to enter into year 2 or complete year 2 of this trial. The first year was getting the jury. This has been the start of the trial. And so they realize that most people are not committed, are able to commit this long to day upon day upon day, week to week, month to month to this arduous task. So that being the case, I don't think that they're committed to it. They're only give you highlights at best. And I mean, the Atlanta News only when something pops off. Just think about it. In the last 2 weeks, Adrian Love has been eviscerated by Judge Whitaker. There was the whole walk off. I'm going to lunch. I'm sorry. I got to go to the restroom. Remember that? She just walked off. She said, we need to go take. Then the next day at another one, there have been so many bombshell moments. And only this one is the one that's made it in the news. I mean, let's just tell the truth. So I don't think they're committed to it. And secondly, I think if they draw attention to it, and the last point, Outcast Podcast, I like that. If they draw attention to it, that's just that many more eyes looking at this case. And I think it's fair to say that the Fulton County DA's office wants none of that. They are trying their very best, in my opinion, based upon information and belief, they are trying their very best to get the new media out of that courtroom. And if they could, they would get that camera out of there and they would be doing all of this behind closed doors. But as Max Shard mentioned, that because we're able to watch it, that's why people were texting him and emailing him and hitting him up in Twitter that Detective Darth Gator was making those noises and saying that stuff. That's the only reason they knew that. They didn't know it in real time otherwise, except from people like us outside that are watching. So it's just something to consider. I don't think they're committed to it, and they really don't want it to be successful. They would much rather be doing this like they do in Chicago and New York, where the reporters have to write it on notepads and it got sketch. Boy, they would love nothing more than to relegate what we know about this trial to a few reporters writing out notes because they wouldn't be able to use their phones and sketching. They would love that. Nothing more than that. I think deep down inside, they hate the fact that in Georgia, we have the right here in Georgia to see that. And I think that's going to be something that's going to, if it doesn't come under fire, it will be greatly hobbled by the time this trial is over. Because I don't honestly believe that new media is going to be in that courtroom on the last day of this trial. That's just my opinion. But thank you, man. That's a great question. Yeah, I mean, the defendants are held hostage. So while we're out enjoying ourselves, going to the grocery store, taking kids out for ice cream, going to get your new Dear Woke Christian hoodie out of the mailbox, while you're able to do that, Young Thug and the rest of them, they're in jail. Just let that sink in. And remember, Judge Whitaker is breathing all heavy, talking about you got too many witnesses. We got to streamline this. And it's such like that. No, we got to be, serious, foot to the pedal for election day. But we'll take off 2 days over here. And please understand, again, I'm just ranting here. The non-jury days that they've dialed in are really to help the state, because the state has such a humongous mess that they've had to factor in days to help them and to get that done. Because if they had a case, like I know, if you have all your ducks in a row and you're about to go give that big presentation to the chairman of the board, you're about to go pitch your new widget factory to some venture capitalists, you're not coming in there half-baked. You're not coming in there with like hey, I'm going to need like a prep day. And mid-conference, we like to take like a 2-hour lunch so we can kind of you wouldn't do that. Why? Because you know the importance of what it is that you're seeking to do, whether that be to present to a new client, get some new venture capital, whatever, propose. How many of y'all came in there half-baked on your wedding proposals? I was dialed in. I was locked in. That's probably the last good time I was locked in my life. Like, hey, don't say that. But let's just be honest. Most of us, you dial in for things that are important. You dial in and you're very focused on things that have weight and value and matter to you. So the question is, why does Adrian Love come in there half cooked? I'll take a drink while we do that. A word from our sponsor. These people don't care. And I'm going to say it again, man. This is not about justice. So please miss me. Totally. Do not email management, dearwokec@gmail.com. Don't email management talking about justice. There is no justice at 136 Pryor Street. There is none. So don't waste your time. Your time can be spent better doing something else. I don't know, picking lint up or trying to find those dehydrated French fries under the car seat in your car. But don't waste your time trying to convince me that Adrian Love, Simone Hilton, and Judge Whitaker care about justice. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do it. Because they don't. They don't care about justice. All right, what we got here? Dixie Doodle, great to see y'all. Thank you so much. Always good people tapping in with me. No consideration for the defendants or the jury. I'm sorry. There's none. This is just a war of attrition. If I find that quote that I want to find, I will, I got to keep it a secret though. I can't tell y'all. But if I get that quote, I will then stand on What does the kid say? Stand on business. I will stand on business that this is never, I will stand on it and say that this was never about justice. Now, I'm making a bold claim. I'm making a bold claim. But if I find this quote from Judge Glanville, I think I will have the ammunition necessary to convince you, and you too will realize this was never about justice. This was always about a war of attrition. And Jason is correct. This is money laundering. This is money laundering in the highest legal governmental sense. This is money laundering. Rome King says, yep. And Rice Street Jail has no more windows and they don't do rec time, meaning they only see the sun during court visits. That's messed up. That's messed up. I know how crazy I'm going sometimes when I've been in this booth for 8-10 hours some days. There was a day this week that I was in here for 9 hours and 40 minutes. That's how long the stream is. That was crazy. I know how crazy I get. I can't imagine being locked up in jail. And I can actually play a video and go walk in the kitchen, go get me something to drink. I mean, I can do that. Man. I think if anybody went to Rice Street for a serious amount of time, I think it would change the complexity of this trial. I think that and take away the monies that they have, that they're soaking up. Because remember, the defendants are paying their lawyers. We, the taxpayers, are paying for Adrian Love, Simone Hilton, Christian Atkins, even Judge Whitaker. We're paying for them. Just saying. Come on. I don't think they've had a full, I think they've had a full week. But if you want to use the word consistent, because there's, let's just say 4 weeks in a month and it's 5 work days, 20 days. If you want to say they've had 20 consistent days, and let's just say 9 to 3 at least, I don't think they've had that. I don't think they've had, and that's with Glanville and Whitaker. I don't think they've had a full 4 weeks back to back with 5 Monday through Friday working every day. I don't think they have. I don't think so. So, yeah, we'll see. No, there's court next week. It's just, I don't know why there's not court on Monday and Tuesday, which, by the way, I'm okay because I got a dentist, a doctor, and an eyeglass appointment on Monday. So I'm not mad about that. But I don't know why they're not there. That's my point. That red file folder, we're going to bring that. You know what? I'm going to play that video. The red file folder. Yo, that thing, like, are you people for real? I don't understand why there's not like an outright revolt in that courtroom. The fact that there isn't is actually kind of impressive. I got to be honest. It is slightly impressive that nobody is rioting in that courtroom about the shenanigans that have come across from the state. The state is wild. Okay. So if you're not familiar, and Law and Crime did 5 fiery moments from the trial this week, and it was pretty good. So I'm going to pull that in. But when you factor in the fact that this has been an ongoing trend such that even Glanville, in all of his graciousness that he was giving the state, had to admit that they're being, dare I say, duplicitous in how they present information. Even Glanville had to admit, like, y'all got to start doing this. And that's why they had that rule about discovery. Like, you have to give all the discovery. So at this point in the game, everything should be given. We should not have new discovery. But, it could happen. It's very possible that it could happen that something new comes up from a trial, from a case that's 9 years old. It's possible, okay? But being forthright, if you get something new, being forthright and saying, yo, I was, going through wherever I was going through the catacombs and I found this, and making it available to the defense ahead of time. Well, the red folder, I'm going to use, here I'll use my little notebook. Let's pretend like this is red. It's red, Jason, sure. All right, so this folder, they knew they had it. Everybody knew they had it. That's why we can't get a Brady violation. Because I think this would have been probably one of the most egregious Brady violations that we've seen so far. And the problem is we've seen several of them, which should make people upset. That we've seen several things and they've just kind of danced them away as not being Brady, but there's a lot of them, but I digress. So they had this folder, but they didn't know whose it was. And they allegedly had the contents of the folder shared with the defense, which is, okay, so far so good, Jason. What's the big hugabaloo? Well, allegedly, they realized somehow or another that, and I put my signature on it. So allegedly, they've had this folder for however long. And out of the blue, they recognize there's a signature on it. And the signature allegedly was the same initials as the person that was on the witness stand. So just out of the blue, Adrian, oh, and by the way, Adrian Love secured this folder last Thursday, a week ago yesterday. And she realized that she had this folder and she was looking around saying, oh, I'll just hold on to it. I really wish I was joking. She gets Gaither Vader in the booth and says, hey, by the way, what did your file folder? Oh, mind you, I'm sorry. I know I keep stopping because the story is so ridiculous that you got to do that. This is like the second time that Gaither has been there. The first time Gaither was there, Gaither said that Gaither didn't know where the notes went, didn't know where the report was. There was no report anywhere for anybody to read, so on and so forth, fill in the blank. And it seemed to be a trend because the other detectives also had this, I don't know, the folder gremlin, the report gremlin was stealing stuff all over the place. Well, I go back to my story today. So this week, out of the blue, Adrian Love has a folder and says, hey, Detective Gaither Vader, what does your folder look like? And Gaither was like, I guess it was like, red and it was like 2 or 3 or 4 inches thick, whatever like that. And she pulls this out in the middle of court. Now, the reason that's problematic is because if you thought that it was Gator's, then you should have shared that with the defense before Vader Gator got on the stand. That would have been the right, decent, upfront thing to do. Dare I even say, you might even said, hey, you know what? I'm going to take this out. I'm not going to use it because I didn't confirm with the defense, the opposing counsel. But no, she comes up there in the middle of court, be like, hey, it was red. It was 8 inches thick like this, and causes all of this chaos and confusion. And again, this is not an isolated event. We're not talking about one time where a student comes into class and says, hey, I don't got my report. Oh, wait, I found my report. It was in my book bag. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about every single week. There's something like this that happens. This week just so happened to be that there was 2. So we're going to look at this quick video. Not a quick video. It's actually kind of long. We'll look at it. Just have some fun. I'm going to drop the link in the chat. If you want to jump in, come on up in here. Let's talk about it. Let's go. How's that look? Hey, I got watch this one. Got a new one. Ha. It's not that bad. Don't look bad. I like that. I want this to be bigger. I'm going to have to change that. All right, let's do it like this. I like that one. Let's go. I know you people want like a professional production over here. I'm letting you down. I'm sorry about that. Let's go.
Yeah, maybe excuse the witness.
Yeah. Mr. Smirker, you can go ahead and step outside for us.
Oh, yeah, we forgot about Sprinkle. That was Monday with Sprinkle was in here. Sprinkle was in the booth on Monday.
Your Honor, so well, first of all, my motion is a motion for mistrial based on the actions of the prosecutor. My objection initially to the item was that it contained hearsay. the state represented at the bench that it was not hearsay. There was no hearsay contained in it. We did not address the issue of what the state already knew, which is that there was a phone number attached to it that she was going to try to elicit testimony from this witness about who that phone number belonged to. That in and of itself is speculation, but it's certainly hearsay. The document can't authenticate itself. I believe the site for that proposition is Twiggs versus State. It's 315 Georgia Appeals 191. So this witness can't look at a document and say that it says this phone number is from Justin Cobb's Instagram or social media posting, this is who it belongs to. So that was my objection. I believe the objection was well-founded. I believe the state purposely put that up there after misrepresenting as to whether or not it contained any hearsay in it. And based on that, I would move for mistrial.
May I respond?
You may.
Before she responds, I just want to point out the proper chain of custody, proper steps, if you will, is when you have a bench meeting, that's when all the lawyers come up and surround the teacher's desk and they kind of make their point. This is what I'm trying to do, and you can't do that, and this is this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. The point of that is to say that what Adrienne Love tells the court is going to be truthful. And she's having a truthful, dare I say, candid conversation with the judge. She's not lying. Adams just pointed out here that you lied. You said that you weren't going to use the phone number, and now you're using the phone number. It's really that simple, because there's a question about how Mr. Sprinkle got the phone number in the first place to be doing anything that he's doing with the phone number. We're not going to argue about how he got it, but I think that the consideration is that he got it some way that he should not have gotten it. And now they have it, but that doesn't allow them to use it because they got it the wrong way. Let us continue, Jason.
Judge,
Can somebody put the document up?
Oh my gosh. Hold on.
Yes.
Okay, hold on. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm good. We might have to make this a two-part. Okay. Instagram. All right. Facebook. Twitter. Anything like that, where somebody makes a post, and it could be a meme, it could be a newspaper article, it could be a picture. When I reply and say, man, that's a cool picture, Rome King. That's a very nice picture of your family, L'Oreal Moyer. That's a great shot of your car, Ray. Man, I agree with that, Wandering Sub. I agree with that. When I make that statement and I type it out with my keyboard or on my phone and whatnot like that, what is that called? What is that called when I say something about something that you post? And let's use Instagram because that's what they're going to be discussing. When I say, man, that's a very nice picture, mango gelato, of that mango gelato. Man, it looks yummy. That looks really good. What is that called? When I do that, what is that called? Escar, what is that called? That is called a reply. I like that. I can go with reply. Absolutely. What else? It's called a comment. I can dig that. Okay. So most of the time, it's called a comment if I'm not going back and forth. But if Wandering Sub says something and then I comment back to Wandering Sub, most people say that we're replying to one another. But if I'm just putting out my initial statement, and either one of those is fine, but we're going to use comment. So if Casper puts a picture up there and I'm like, Casper, I remember Casper the Friendly Ghost when I was a kid. That was a funny television show, funny cartoon. Okay, that's a comment. Now, let me ask you a question. If I say, Dee Dee, I want you to call me, here's my number, 8675309, and I put it as a comment, what is that? First of all, it's dangerous to be getting my phone number out there like that, but you got my point. What is that? Is that still a comment? If I say, hey, Miss Tina, can you call me at 777-9311? Is that still a comment? I'm really not trying to be obtuse. I really am trying. It's a. I'm leading. Am I leading the witnesses? Am I leading them? Well, here in pre-K law school, because that's all I got. Dialogue with me, TV. I'm a pre-K law student. I'm violating all the rules. Rome King is not there. Well, we know what would get Rome King to respond, so we're not going to even talk about that. All right. You say it's a mess? If I'm putting it next to the picture of your car, Rome King, and I say, "Hey, Rome King, call me," and I give you my phone number, 1-800-227-EMPIRE. If I give you my phone number, what is that called? Is that still a comment? That's still. Do you feel like that's no? It's in public. It's not even the DM. Not the DM. It's in the open. Everybody can see it. That's why I'm saying like it's dangerous. But no, if I put that out there, what is that called? It's still a comment. It's still a comment. Just like I said, "Hey Tina, I like that picture of you and your family vacation. Mango gelato, that stuff is looking really good." That's still a comment. Now, the reason I bring this up is I want you to watch this whole grown woman. It is not a direct message. I'm putting it out there in the open space. Not like if I send a private message to you, that's a whole different thing. This is in the open space of Instagram where you make a comment. I want you to watch this woman attempt to say that writing is a comment, but phone numbers are not a comment. I kid you not. I sat there and watched that. I'm like, wait, she's honestly trying to say that putting your phone number in a comment is not the same as a comment. Watch. I'm just like, I was dumbfounded. Like, wait, hold on. She really is trying to pull the Jedi mind trick over Judge Whitaker and say, well, I said no comments, but a phone number is not a comment. I just couldn't understand. I'm like, wait, you got to be kidding me. I was really surprised. I'm like, and we all saw this in real time because this is the day that she looked like Curious George, right? We saw that. And I'm like, she really did say that. It took me back. So I apologize. Thank y'all so much. Let's keep going. Let's go.
First, the state objects
Okay,
to a
stop.
mistrial. Second, Your Honor.
Okay, here we go. Y'all, we're not gonna make it through tonight. I'm sorry. We're gonna have to do this. We might have to do a midnight episode or something. Okay, I want you to zoom in. When I pull it back up, you're gonna see the person's phone number in the comment. Okay, here it is. There's the phone number right there from free _ doo-wop. There's the phone number. That is a comment. Does everybody agree that that is a comment? And she is going to try to argue that it's not a comment. And if you look down at the bottom, it says log in to like or comment. Y'all, I really truly am dumbfounded at how okay. All right, y'all. What is it called? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Judge Whitaker deserves all this. I really hope, I pray that she is watching. I pray her family is watching this trial. I pray her people at her church, at her grocery store, at her Pilates class, at her dog park. I hope every single person related around Judge Paige Reese Whitaker is watching this trial, and I hope they mock her. I hope they make fun of her because this is ridiculous. She's being lied to by Adrian, and either A, she really truly doesn't know, or B, it's worse. This is ridiculous. The phone number is in the comment. Look, my mom is 70 plus years old. I am on a good information and belief. My mom has never been on Instagram. Okay. But she would be able to tell you that this is a comment, just like where the person wrote stunting and bumping in Atlanta, or this is cute. That's a comment. And they would say that this phone number right there is also a comment. There's no grace. This is ridiculous. And it's so bad. Let's finish this up, Jason. Let's go.
Your Honor, what Mr. Adams indicated that he did not want on here were the comments with, where's the phone number? There it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
the comments generally being all of the writing on the right side of the picture.
Your Honor,
And so I said to you, is any of it hearsay? Is any of it being offered for the truth? And you said, no.
Your Honor, what I was asking the witness to do is to tell what was of significance to that number and what he did in terms of finding out and corroborating information that he obtained, because he obtained phone records. I don't intend that this evidence or this exhibit will prove or show that this is Justin Cobb's phone number.
You're asking him that? And
No,
asking
Your
him
Honor,
to testify to that?
I'm asking him, and I understand the court, I'm asking him
you?
what handle it's next to, and Your Honor, what he did after seeing what he saw on this
That's
social
not what
media
you
page.
asked. You represented at the bench that none of this, that being the writing on the right side of the picture, which we're all squinting at because it's tiny on the piece of paper. And so I am relying upon you to actually be honest with the court and opposing counsel so that we can deal appropriately with the evidentiary issue. Was any of it being offered for the truth? And you said no. And then you turned around, and after it was admitted over the overruling of the hearsay objection, based on the representation that nothing was being offered for its truth, you drew the witness's attention to the phone number and tried to have the witness testify to whose phone number it was. If that is not offered for the truth, what is it?
Your Honor, it
What is it?
explains what steps he next took. It wasn't that he sat there and took this phone number and said, okay, this is Justin Cobb's phone number. He went and sought records based on what he saw on this social media post. So it's not, this post can't prove anything, but I do expect that the witness will testify based on what he saw, regardless, because it's a legitimate.
Why can't you just, at the bench, when you know that the reason you're offering it is for the phone number, and then to ask the witness other questions about what he did based on that phone number and seeing that phone number, say to everybody so that we know what we're dealing with, you know, it's this phone number, and then I'm going to ask him XYZ about the phone number, and then we'll know what we're dealing with.
Because my understanding that what was being objected to was not the phone number, was the comments that was the words, Your Honor. And again, this piece of evidence does not prove anything, as anybody would be able to say. But when he saw this on Justin Cobb's page, or a picture of Justin Cobb next to what he believed to be Justin Cobb's handle, he sought additional information. The entire
phone number with the comments.
I'm sorry, what, Your Honor?
I mean, that is included within what you're now calling comments, all of them just being.
And I asked at the bench what comments they were asserting was hearsay, Your Honor. I literally asked
I asked at the bench, is any of this being offered for its truth?
And Your Honor, it's being offered to explain DDA Sprinkle's actions that he took next. Your Honor, these records have been collected as part of what he did in this investigation. He was asked on cross-examination, did he take particular steps to corroborate what was given to him in certain interviews? That was the preceding question before I asked him about this particular post. So the state intended and intends to introduce the records that DDA Sprinkle produced or obtained after seeing this post. This post can't suffice to prove that that is Justin Cobb's number. This post only explains why DDA Sprinkle got the number and why it was significant to him in this investigation, where his steps and actions are being questioned.
But you know, Judge, we don't get there. I hear what the state's saying, and it's disingenuous, because we don't get to the second step that they're talking about, what records he procured and why he did what he did, unless we go through the hearsay statement that's contained in the portion that I objected to. And the court is accurate. I was there, and I asked for everything that was on the right side, all of the verbiage to be, I said that was hearsay. The state said it was not. It clearly is, because to ask him that specific question, I mean, listen, none of us are obtuse.
I asked,
here. It is what it is. I think that the state was disingenuous about it. State's being very slippery in regards to their response to the court's questions. I think it's willful, and I think a mistrial is appropriate. And I'm
I
asking
mean, I
for one.
can't figure out what it is. If it's disingenuous, if it is that, I mean, I don't want to malign the prosecutor standing in front of me right now. So I'm not going to say the possible things that it could be, but it is baffling to me that somebody with the number of years of experience that you have, time after time after time, continues to seemingly purposefully hide the ball to the extent you possibly can for as long as you possibly can. And I really don't want to believe that it is purposeful, but honestly, after a certain number of times, you start to wonder how it could be anything but that, unless it is just that you are so unorganized that you are throwing this case together as you try it. And I am sorry to say that, but this case is being made much more difficult for everybody because of the haphazard way in which it is being presented. I'm going to take a recess for a few minutes. I'll have a ruling when I get back.
The court's ruling.
Shout out to Paige for just walking away. Shout out to her. The problem is, I feel that she came back and I don't know, she got a phone call, she got a letter from the government the other day. I don't know, but she went and walked it off. I don't know what happened, but she was not, all that energy had kind of dissipated when she walked down the stairs and when she walked back up the stairs, back into the bench. And yeah, this is an ongoing thing, though. The part that's just staggering to me and probably everybody else is like, this just keeps happening. Now, you would think after that level of vitriol from Judge Whitaker, getting the ire from the bench, you would think that one would shape up and fly right, as Granddad used to say. You would think so. And this was Monday. So you would think, oh man, the rest of the week, she must have been straight as an arrow. You already knew.
So could you share with us all of the whatever parts you think actually you would like to have admitted and
Absolutely.
published?
Yes.
I mean, can you do that from now on without me having to beg you to do that?
Your Honor, the court does not have to beg me for anything.
Okay, I mean, let's just have it be sort of a standard, which I thought would have been clear anyway, but is apparently not, that you make it clear to everybody what parts of what exhibits you want in evidence so that we can then, if there are evidentiary challenges to them, be able to sensibly discuss those. Is that something you can do for the court and for the opposing counsel in this case?
Absolutely.
Okay. So can you right now let us know so that while we're having our half hour, we can take a look at all of that?
Sure can, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And the objections, as stated already, generally were hearsay, confrontation clause, and authentication. There's not going to be a confrontation clause issue. People's Twitter posts are not testimonial. But with regard to authentication and hearsay, I don't know if
He can set the foundation and he can
authenticate these.
I believe that.
Okay,
we can-
maybe. All right. And then there may, okay, so let us know. How are you gonna let us know that? Because can you email to everybody the portions, or how are we gonna?
I can give you the specific page numbers.
Okay, and everybody else has a copy?
Everybody has this. Yes. When you say everybody else has a copy, I'm not sure what the court means.
If you give page numbers, they have a copy so that they'll be able to easily find and look at what that is?
If they Well, if they look at the
Do
that
you
they
remember?
have.
They have a link. Do you remember which link it is?
Yeah.
Can you let us know that, or at least them know that?
You know what link it
I'll
could
just
be?
yes, I can. I can.
Resending it would be great. And
The
then
mistrial link.
pinpointing.
And perhaps telling us where it is in the discovery.
No, she's going to resend it, which would be easier.
Okay.
Okay, so you will do that and be specific about what parts you want in. All right, Mr. Short, you had asked in the midst kind of all of the objections that the court give an instruction about the blank box. Is that something that you still want me to do, that the box was blank at the court's instruction because we didn't at that point have anything establishing the date, or?
Yes, I would very much appreciate the court giving
Okay.
that instruction.
And that was
because
states 44, I mean, not states, I'm sorry, Mr. Stillwell 44.
I believe that's correct.
Okay.
I can check. I'll approach and look at the evidence and confirm.
Okay, and so I'll just tell them that it was at the court's direction that the box was blank because it hadn't at the time been established what the box meant.
Your Honor.
Will
may
that
I-
work? Yes, no?
Yes, that would be
Okay.
great. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, that requirement of the court was not on the defendants. They objected to that box being shown. The state had no objection. So in as much as the objection leveled by Mr. Stillwell is what the court based that on, and the state did not have an objection, and the state actually explained what it was, and Mr. Stillwell could have very well put that date in the box.
No, Mr. Stillwell could not have at that point. There was an objection to it. I will give that instruction, and I'm also going to instruct that the state may not in any way attempt to argue that Mr. Stillwell was trying to hide anything by having that box on there blank. Understand? And I'm not saying you would, but just want to make that clear. Understand?
I think, yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
All right, real quick.
All right. I would also,
I'm muted. Y'all, who did that? Y'all, I'm firing producer Jason. I'm going to fire my producer. Producer Jason is fired. I'm telling you, producer Jason reached over and muted my mic too. So if you notice, when Adrian Love got finished talking, she turns her head towards Simone Hilton. She's probably saying something that's not going to go well if it gets out here on these internet streets, on the best live chat on the internet. So what does Simone Hilton do? She reaches over and mutes the microphone for her because she knows that Adrian's probably saying something that's going to be a bad hot take, a horrible take at best. And so that's why I thought that was hilarious that she did that. And then when she replies back to Judge Whitaker, after Judge Whitaker asked her a question, her mic is off because Simone Hilton just saved her job probably because she probably was saying something really bad. That is, man. Yeah, that was her, man. Rookie. I'm a rookie. She's a rookie. All of us are a rookie. Oh, man. That was the best rap. Man, you missed it. You missed it. That's what I get. All right, let's get done with this. Let's go.
let's see. So we're going to deal with the Twitter feed issues and the reconsideration of Zachary's things. Anything else?
The additional crime scene photos
Your Honor,
from Mr. Atkins.
I don't know if we'll get to that or not.
Okay.
When would that be coming in?
not it.
Your Honor, those probably won't even come in until the next week or the week after
Well, it
next.
may not be
depending.
coming in at all.
Well, if they are to come in, it would be in about 2 weeks from now.
Okay, and it was so like, you said, or somebody said that the CADs with regard to those had already come in. Can y'all be a little more specific about what those are going to be crime scene photos of? And why, like what crime scenes and why? I know Miss Love, you said, oh, you put them back because of witnesses that you had to add back in. Can you give me a little more specificity about the?
So at the begin, you want to know the actual
Crime scenes.
Okay.
And then why did you have to add those witnesses back in?
Well, the why was when counsel or
Was it because you were establishing who lived at places and they were gonna object unless you brought the person in?
that was half of it. The other
Okay.
half was that they objected to any of the
Chain of custody, I remember.
right.
Anything
right,
beyond that?
Yes. So I'm pulling up the actual
Okay.
incident number.
Okay, I'm not going to mute myself. I'm just going to rant
I mean, if-
for a second. I'm not going to mute myself. I'm going to rant for a second. All right. I don't know where they're getting these Fulton County judges from, but have you ever been to a school play for your child or an Easter play at your church or something where a child has to perform and do something and he or she is not really, maybe like a dance recital, or he or she or the children are not really that sure. So the parent, maybe the dance coach or whatever, is there in the audience trying to coach them along while they're doing it. This is where that's Paige Whitaker. That's Judge Glanville. These judges keep supporting and helping Adrian Love when Adrian Love should have been left to fail 45 objections ago. Okay, 45 mistrial motions ago. She should have been left to fail. Why are you she's literally coaching her on why it is that she's calling Darth Gaither back. Why is she calling back these witnesses that they've already saw before? Now they're going to call him back again. And she's alluded that she's going to call Gaither back again. For the life of me, maybe they're failed kindergarten teachers and they're just making them judges. I don't know, but this is ridiculous to watch. It is embarrassing to watch because I'm like, let the woman answer it herself. Now, if she does this for the defense, then I'll give her a pass. But I think we all know that it's not going to happen. We already know she's not going to be doing this for Doug. She's not going to be doing this for Max or Matthews or whatnot, or Doug or Brian Steele. You know why? Because they're going to be ready. They're professionals. Whether you like them or not, whether they dot all their I's and cross all their T's to your satisfaction, you can't say that these men come in there half-baked. This woman come in here, I don't know what she'd be doing. She'd be waking up in the morning like, how am I going to prosecute this case? She'd be thinking about watching the line at Dunkin' Donuts and then speed railing it up in here to do it. Let's finish up, Jason. Let's go.
If you want to just give me an address, like the so-and-so crime scene.
But these photos, Your Honor, were not produced in discovery.
I
No.
understand.
Okay,
I'm
thank
going to
you.
get to that. I'm just trying to get a little bit of basis for what we're even talking about.
So it was 717 Cedar Avenue. I don't have the date on that in front of me.
Well, one was 2014, one was 2015, one was 2019, as I understand it. Which was that?
That was 2014.
Okay.
And that was based on an objection about the Nibin hits. And then there was the 807 Prior and 193 Hendricks shooting, which I think was that was in 2015. That was one of the retaliatory shootings. And then there was the 2019 one regarding Milton Howard in Rayshawn Lucci Bennett's vehicle
They blaming her for
Where?
everything that's happened in Atlanta in the last 5 years.
on the road. It was, the specific address was,
This is something there was just testimony about last week. Yes, no?
oh yes, I'm sorry, I thought you. That was rhetorical.
This coming Wednesday, Axel. Now, keep in mind, while they're doing this, there's actually supposed to be court in session. There's jury somewhere. There's a witness. There's defendants. They're actually supposed to be working at this moment. So when I say study hall court, this is what I mean.
Okay, well, in any event, you say you added witnesses back because of needing to establish who lived where and the chain of custody, I guess, for like bullets and shells and things like that. But if the photos themselves were never provided, which is what Mr. Adkins represented in his email, then why should they come in now?
Your Honor, so as it relates to the scene, we believe that it's relevant information that does not unfairly prejudice anyone, as the incidents themselves are very much a part of the discovery that we've provided.
But the crime scene photos aren't, right?
Your Honor, I believe I believe that they have not, but I will make certain that they've not. I believe that
Well,
they have
Mr.
not been.
Adkins represented that they hadn't.
And I have
so-
no reason not to
Okay, so
believe.
you check on that in our 30 minutes or so that we're going to have, and you can let me know. All right, let's be back here at.
You are almost guaranteed to set yourself up for failure. You are setting yourself up for disappointment. You're setting yourself up for an ulcer. If you tell Adrienne Love to go ahead and do something, you have to tell her to do it right there on the spot, and you stand there and wait for her to get it done. Have you all paid attention to how often she asks, can she step out to go use a phone? Or I'm going to work on this while somebody else does my work. Have you noticed that? She does it quite a bit. I'm going to have to maybe make a super cut of it just to point it out that she's unprepared. I don't care. I will stand on, I'll tell her to her face. She is unprepared to do this task. That's it. There's no other way around it. But she does it a lot. She tries to, let me get myself up out of here. Can I go make a phone call? This and other, I'm going to send it out afterwards and so on and so forth. She does it a lot. And she's unprepared. She doesn't know what she's doing. I don't think it's even disorganized. No, because you could, if you're a baker, a cooker, a chef or something like that at home, you might not get all of your cooking stuff in one spot on the counter before you start cooking. You might have to run over to the kitchen or over to the refrigerator or go into the pantry to get something after you start it. You don't have to be super, but my thing is, she doesn't even own the milk. She's got the pot boiling. She's in the car riding to Publix to go get heavy whipping cream. Okay. Or she goes to her neighbor to ask for 2 eggs. Like she doesn't even have this stuff. It's not even she has an eyeball like, oh yeah, I know I got eggs. Yeah, I got enough milk. I know I got some butter. She it's not even that. She doesn't even have this stuff. She's literally making it while she's baking. There's a big difference. Oh, a humongous difference. All right, let's finish this up. All right, Jason, let's go.
At 1:20.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I know that Mr. Sprinkle had no more questions on direct by the state, so I will put in writing. He mentioned some phone calls, jail calls. The state mentioned with him, but they didn't put him in. I have some objections to portions of those jail calls, and I'll put it in writing for everybody. But I just wanted to make the court aware, just in case the state wants to, on redirect, somehow get into those jail calls.
Are you going to get into the substance of jail calls with Mr. Sprinkle?
Not today, no.
Okay. Ever with Mr. Sprinkle?
At some point, yes, after we get other, yes.
Okay, then, yep, go ahead and put those objections in writing.
I'll do it.
And one more thing, Mr. Steele, you sent over an email sort of setting forth an objection or a continuing objection, I guess, that you have to the testimony of Mr. Sprinkle about his investigation, and you base it on Davis versus State, 307 Georgia 746 from 2020, and also Adkins v. State, 301 Georgia 153 from 2017, and the law that's set forth in those about conduct of an investigation and an officer not normally, only in rare instances being relevant, but that it is relevant after, or its case law appears to acknowledge that it can be relevant after a defense has raised questions about an investigation. And yet you're saying at the same time that your co-counsel is asking Mr. Sprinkle questions about his investigation, that you don't believe that it is relevant here because the defense hasn't challenged Mr. Sprinkle specifically. And that is, I appreciate that nuance, but my original ruling on that stands. So I'm going to overrule your objection. You may have a continuing objection to that. All right. See y'all back at 1:20.
Just for you to know, we speak with independent crime scene people. So the state just giving us this.
Turn your mic on. Come on.
These photographs, and then we have to review the evidence, and then go talk to the witnesses. It's a hassle.
So if she lets me know that these were originally provided, that's one thing. But if they were not, then they're not going to be coming in. All right. See y'all in 30 minutes. We're going to pause from our evidentiary issues for a minute. Thank you for coming in. And I had a question.
Okay, this is the boondoggle, which was okay, I don't think we're going to make it through. I think I'm going to change tonight's live stream. I might change it. I might turn this into tonight's live stream, and then at 7:00 when my guests come on, we'll just talk about Karen Reid. I'm going to try to get finished with this. I thought I was going to be finished, but I don't think I am. All right, there's two things that I want to jump on. I love what Angie said right here. She never can put together a sentence without hesitation. I'm not making any statements of fact based upon evidence and belief. That's how you know she's making it up. That's how you know that what she's saying is a lie. I'm sorry. That's it. Because it's not just a pause because I want to make sure that I don't use filler words. It's not just a pause because I want to make sure that I'm not repeating myself and I'm being clear. It's a pause that I'm thinking about what to say. And there's a difference there. Again, I would love to see any body language experts and linguistic experts parse Adrienne Love, because she comes across as somebody who does not tell the truth. I'm not saying that she's just an outright, unadulterated, just a terrible, terrible person. She just doesn't come across as somebody that tells the truth. And Angie's pointed out here, countless other people have mentioned it as well. When she talks and you don't help her, she sounds really like she's maybe, she sounds really like, Your Honor, I'm lying. That's how she sounds. She doesn't sound truthful at all. I guarantee you, if she were in an investigation room and they were live streaming the investigation with her and 3 police officers shackled to the floor like Woody or like Quandaria Zachary, I guarantee you nobody would think that what she was saying was honest. I guarantee you. That might be why she's on this side of the law, so she doesn't think she'll ever be on the other side. I don't know, but I do want to say thank you so much to joining us, Miss Unforgettable 1982. Has become a new member. Shout out to you. As well as shout out to S-Car for the 199 super. Thank you so much. The names must be named. Absolutely. And then thank you, Nana 1234 for the $5 super. She said, didn't the DA have 2 years to prepare? No. They've had this. I got to stop right there. They've had this case since Paul Howard. Paul Howard had all this information that they're talking about right now. So they've had better than 5 years. But I digress. Didn't you have 2 years to prepare before this trial started? I feel sorry for anyone that has been convicted with love's lies. And amen to that. I think there's probably good reason that other cases that Adrian Love has overseen maybe should be considered for a redress. Look at them again. Maybe we need to go back and let's go look at what you said before. I'm just saying. Because it's not a good look. It's not a good look. It does not come across as somebody's professional, somebody that's taking it seriously. I've said this before. Those 6 men, somebody in there is going to pass away, is going to kick the oxygen habit while in jail. So maybe we should take this seriously that I'm trying to throw somebody in jail and this will be the last time they see freedom. This will be the last time they see sunlight. For crying out loud. Well, they probably won't be in Wright Street. They'll probably be in a prison, but this will be the last time they see freedom. Maybe you should take that seriously. Maybe there should be a level of sobriety about the fact that I have in my power the ability to take away people's freedom, and some of this freedom taken away will result in somebody no longer being alive. Maybe I should take that a little bit serious, Adrian, Simone, Christian, Judge Whitaker. Maybe that should be a level of sobriety. Maybe we should be really circumspect about the fact that what I'm going to do is going to put somebody away forever. Just maybe. I know, crazy talk. Maybe that should be like important to us to say we should treat this like it's really, really vital, super serious, very important to do this right and get this right, because we're taking away somebody's freedom, which will ultimately result in one of these men no longer being alive. And if nothing else, they're going to probably be in jail for the lion's share of their lives if they ever get out. Maybe it should be a little important. That maybe this should be like, I should be a little bit more intentional. I'm just saying.
Question for you that is, and you may already know what the topic is.
Oh gosh, this was such a boondoggle.
And did you take any photographs of the witness?
I did not. And from the area that I sit today, you can tell that I couldn't take that picture.
Okay.
I heard it online, and luckily I wasn't all the way back to Covington. So I don't believe in throwing rocks and hiding my hands.
Okay.
I have a reputation, and I'm going up for DOJ certification for immigration. So I don't need anything that's lack of moral turpitude to affect me. So I wanted to make sure.
Well, I
got
appreciate
back
you
in
coming
here.
straight here. And I think that we have actually figured out what happened anyway.
Okay.
And since we're on it, I'll just go ahead. And it appears that what happened is that, and I hate to say it, and I don't think it was your fault, Mr. Maurice, but I think what happened, it looks like, is that you're showing the screens when video is being played, understandably. But what happens is when the video gets stopped, there was just an instant where, because for us in here in this courtroom with Zoom, we have the witness being shown just to us so that y'all can see it and I can see it, because this courtroom setup is not ideal for everybody to be able to see the witness. And it showed for just a second the witness, because it captured the Zoom that got shown. That's just interior here, but anybody, of course, can screen grab it, and it looks like that's what happened. So I think that in order to stop that from occurring in the future, we just, when we have a witness who isn't supposed to be filmed, we just won't even be able to use the Zoom, so that we don't have that accidentally happen in the future. And there aren't that many witnesses that aren't going to get shown anyway. And thankfully for this particular witness, it's not the end of the world,
Right.
considering she's apparently been on First 48 before. So anyway, thanks to all of the media people, and y'all are all still good and allowed to
Okay.
come in.
Also,
and-
I don't get that list of who's not to be photographed.
Oh,
If
and-
I had not heard it ahead of time,
yeah,
I wouldn't have known.
okay.
But
Let's make sure
I
we get
definitely
you
wanted
added.
to make sure my name is
Okay.
good.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I know we added, so bad with the names, but the other lady the same day. So let's make sure she's on that list too. Okay, thank you.
I
All right,
appreciate it.
back to, so R is in, R, S, Sierra. Any objection?
Sierra, we withdraw. It's in on a
Withdrawn,
different
okay.
account.
Tango, I know that one. Any objection to T? Thank you. Anybody?
I'll object, Your Honor.
All right, basis.
Nobody's disputing that these two people know each other. I'm assuming the court knows who they are. If not, I could tell you. And then the writing, I'm being told, is just quoting a lyric from a song. So I'm objecting to the writing as well. I don't see how that furthers anything.
I don't know if the lyric from the song takes the C and change it to some other letter, but this is Kelvin Treadwell, whom the witness discussed during the interview. This is January 18th, 2015. We believe it's relevant. There's nothing unduly prejudicial, and we'd ask that the court allow it to be shown.
And where's there a substituted
No.
B?
Oh, BITX.
Oh,
H.
I thought you, okay,
ES.
X. Okay. All right, I'm gonna overrule that objection. You.
This is a different time. This is even further into 2015.
We have a picture of these people together already.
We have various pictures of them together, but in this particular picture, Mr. Sledge, who has testified, is throwing up the B for blood. Shannon Stillwell is right in front of him, and Mr. Zachary is immediately to Mr. Sledge's left. We believe that this is a pertinent, and we feel like there is persuasive power in the depth of presentation. And to say that we have one, I'm trying to quote
No,
a
go
case.
ahead. I'm sorry, I just have this ringing in my ear all of a sudden. Go
To
ahead.
say that we have one picture or two pictures of the three of them together
Okay.
already.
All right. Overruled. V.
That was inadvertently added.
Okay. V, W.
We're going to get done.
This is Mr. Zachary and Mr. Stillwell. This is March 2nd, 2015. He tags Mr. Stillwell and he makes a proclamation. Our argument is that given count one in the language and description of the conspiracy, it is evidence of Mr. Zachary promoting YSL and promoting Shannon Stillwell and attempting to assert their dominance. He's a gangster. He's not scared of you. This is him tagging him and him posting him.
Your Honor, I'm going to absolutely object to a piece of evidence coming in written by someone not my client, that's not my client apparently, about my client calling him a gangster. That is prejudicial. It's not in furtherance of any conspiracy. It's not my client's words. It's any probative value is outweighed by we're charged essentially with being part of a gang. And a gentleman who did testify, but who also was off the stand by the time the state announced specific intention to use this photo. Calling my client a gangster? No, I'm objecting.
He would have lied if we asked him about it in any event. He said that everything he said about anybody was false.
Well,
anybody in this courtroom.
I'm not interested in what he would have done. I don't think any of us know what he would have done. But the bottom line is he was on the stand and off the stand by the time the state announced their intention of using this.
Your Honor, I think that.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that this was captured in 2016. Mr. Stillwell was tagged. And I think that it's relevant and admissible and not unduly prejudicial.
All right, I'll let you admit it without the I don't know what you call it, tagline or commentary or whatever. I mean, you can leave the at Shannon, but he's a gangster. He's not scared of you. They didn't get a chance to, and I think that you are probably correct in what you surmise would have been the testimony, but they didn't have an opportunity to ask him about it. So you can leave the at part, but yes.
Does Your Honor not consider it an effort on the part of a YSL associate, as the state alleges, Mr. Zachary, to assert the dominance of a member of YSL, even if it's not taken as true? He's asserting something.
I understand the argument. All right. Do you understand the ruling?
Absolutely.
Okay. X. Any objection?
I object.
Did you, before you talked to Mr. Zachary, did you in any way alert Mr. Zachary by any member of his family or any other way to the approximate number of vehicles that you saw in that video?
No.
Outside of the investigation that was conducted by Detective Dennis in that Lil Wayne bus shooting, did you have independent information that about the details Mr. Zachary gave you during that August 5th interview around this Lil Wayne bus shooting?
No.
Do you know whether Detective Dennis had information during his investigation that could corroborate or disprove parts of what was being said?
I'm not sure.
That's not me breathing heavy like that, by the way.
Have you ever had interviews where you're sort of forced to decide or determine whether somebody is trying to put blame here to get blame from somewhere else during your time as an investigator with the gang unit?
Sustained.
Okay. During your interview with Quindarius Zachary, did he give you any indication that his reason for talking to you was to get Shannon in trouble and get Demekion or Woody or Mootum out of trouble?
Objection, Your Honor, bolstering.
Speculation.
And speculation.
Yeah.
Overruled is to speculation. Overruled is to bolstered.
You may answer that question. Do I need to ask it?
No, I think I understand it. No, it didn't appear that he just wanted to get them in trouble. I took it as he wanted to try to help himself as much as he can by providing truthful information.
Speculation.
Overruled. Well, sustained is to speculation.
Okay.
I also have a motion, Your Honor.
You have a
Motion.
All right. Time for our morning break anyway.
Your Honor, at this time, I'm going to move for a mistrial on behalf of Mr. Stillwell. We have, first of all, I'll point out that we've been referring to Ms. Gaither as, I believe, Sergeant. And I say that to say that she is not someone that just came off the street to testify with no understanding of how the process works. She's experienced. She's, I'm sure, testified many times before. She just informed the jurors that her belief is that Mr. Zachary did not want to harm Mr. Stillwell specifically, but that's not my objection. My objection is she testified his intent was to come in and give truthful, to get himself out of trouble by giving truthful information. That was absolutely improper. That was vouching for a witness. That was bolstering. And that is a basis for a mistrial. From an expert, I'll point out as well.
Your Honor, my response is that the court very well could and should instruct the jury that as to the witness's opinion about a interviewee's, well, first, my response is we vehemently object to a mistrial. Secondly, the court could and should instruct the jury that a witness's opinion about another witness's statements or, testimony or anything that they said is not to be considered by the jury. The jury is the person that determines the credibility of the witnesses. And I can make certain that Sergeant Gaither knows when I'm asking regarding any indication that to not talk about truthfulness, but just to give objectively what indication or whether she considered that there was an indication. Secondly, a mistrial is in no way warranted in this case when Sergeant Gaither did not say Quindary Zachary was being truthful. She said, I perceived. She said, I perceived. And that is why an instruction would be warranted that her opinion about his truthfulness is not to be considered by the jury. They make the determination about credibility. There is nothing about any of the exchange that just occurred that warrants or in any way justifies a mistrial. At best, an instruction is called for.
That I initially objected to the question to begin with. And I saw the danger. And the state insisted on asking that question that prompted this response. That was completely inappropriate.
All right, thank you. I'm going to instruct the witness as well. So we'll go ahead and take a break. And when we get back, I'm going to have the witness in and instruct her and then give an instruction to the jury. Going to deny the motion for mistrial.
Call me surprised.
All right, thank you. All right, we're on recess.
I assume we're all joined in that.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, yeah, 10 minutes. And by the way, that witness, Bernie, if he's not here already, he's on his way, the one who needed to testify in Cobb. So just in terms of scheduling, if y'all want to take him next, he's available. And I knew that we wouldn't be done with this Gator anywhere near 10 a.m.
I won't feel offended.
Yes.
They just gonna keep talking. I love it. What's going on, friend? How are you?
Oh, hey. I was just putting something in the private chat for you. I was just letting you know this stream is redirecting to the other one.
Oh, I love it. And we'll just, there we go. Perfect.
How's everybody?
There she goes. Miss Mandy in the building. Say, what's happening? What's happening? All right.
I'll see y'all in a little bit.
We got, I don't know what that is. All right. There's still, because they didn't turn the microphones off, we can still hear the horse trading. So Gaither was not supposed to be seen on camera for whatever reason. I have no idea really why that was. So a lot of the shenanigans from this week were because of the fact that Gaither wasn't supposed to be on camera. So that whole thing with the woman taking pictures and now this, part of it is the fact that Gaither wasn't supposed to be on camera, which makes no sense. Axel Wheel, I believe that there's more than enough justification for a mistrial Judge Whitaker just isn't going to do it. That's all.
Then I want to go back to the original question I asked about the allowing Mr. Copeland to speak with Mr. Garlington on a non-recorded line, okay?
I don't believe I
I'm
stated.
sorry to interrupt, Judge. May we approach briefly, please?
Yes.
I'm going to ask you to address the witness and speak to the witness, and also, quite frankly, to speak to the DA as well. Because of the way everyone is positioned, they're obviously closer to the jury than anybody else. Their microphones are live, and what they say can be picked up on a microphone. A couple of times.
Sorry, who? What the state says at their table?
And what the witness is saying. And there have been at least 3 occasions where the witness has either before or after a question muttered something and said something into the microphone that can be picked up.
Well, I certainly haven't heard it. I can barely hear the answers.
I am not the only one who's heard it. At that last exchange, I heard her say something, I couldn't make out what she said, into the microphone. I guess she was frustrated after the question, and it's being picked up by a microphone. And if I can hear her muttering over here, whatever she's saying can be heard to the jury. And it's just inappropriate. I think it's simply enough to tell her to not make any extraneous comments that can possibly be picked up by the jury. Same thing for the state. And we've actually addressed this before prior to this court's involvement in the case, where there have been times where the state, either out of frustration or who knows why they're doing it, says something, or they're making faces and they're saying something that can be picked up by the microphone. And because they're that close to the jury, I'm sure the jury can hear it too. So I'm just asking, as I've asked before, and as they have been told before, to be mindful of the things that they say and the fact that it can be picked up by the jury.
I can't say that I heard this because I was in the middle of everything, but I've been told by multiple sources that once my cross-examination was finished and Mr. Steele was going to begin, the witness said horrible.
Horrible?
Horrible.
What? Okay.
And she's
well,
sitting
you know
right
what?
next to the jury.
If the witness and or the state is saying things like that and the jury hears them, I cannot imagine that reflects well on either of them.
Your Honor, I have to say, I would ask that presumptions based on assertions by counsel for opposing for the defendants not be taken as true and then spoken as if they are by this honorable court, because I have no idea what Mr. Adams is talking about. I have not heard any mutterings. I don't know what Mr. Shard is talking about. The state does not have the luxury to sit here and say what it believes someone from the defense is doing without it being cut off quickly. So I'd ask that the court not act on what is being asserted by counsel for the defendants as we stop these proceedings to address something nobody heard, but apparently Mr. Adams.
Fortunately,
and Mr. Sharp.
Fortunately, this trial is televised.
And Your Honor,
you know what? I'm going to stick with what I said before, which is if a witness wants to present themselves in that way in front of the jury, that is a reflection on that witness, and the jury can evaluate that. So no, I'm not going to advise her or any other witness one way or, well, depends on what they say. And I didn't actually hear anything, but no, if she wants to make derogatory comments, then that is a poor reflection on her, and the jury, if they heard it, will notice it. And to the extent, I mean, I haven't, was that basically just about this witness?
It was about the witness and about the prosecution. And let's
Who's
be clear.
doing this, or you believe is doing something like this right now?
Yes, and who has done it before. I'm not just saying that. The court has addressed it before because it's happened before. So we're not making this up. She was admonished previously by the prior court to stop doing that.
And you're saying she's doing it again, and it is making faces and or comments.
Making faces, making comments. It can be picked up by the microphone. These mics are live. And as Mr. Shard pointed out, luckily, this trial is being televised and live streamed.
I don't know why that's lucky, because the jury is not going to watch the live stream.
I'm not talking about it. I'm saying,
I mean, the jury is the one deciding this case.
The person making the complaint about the behavior is the defendants. And I'm in support of what I'm saying. I'm telling you that we are not the only ones who have noticed this. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Well,
Your Honor, and I would ask, I have asked that the microphone not be close to counsel's table over here behind, so that
which microphone are y'all even talking about?
Anyone that can pick up conversation at state's table, because I'm not trying to have our
No, it shouldn't be. You all, any attorneys ought to be able to talk to each other at their table privately without anything being picked up. So I don't know if that means y'all want to turn off your mic, because we're in a big awkward courtroom where nobody can hear anybody sometimes, but then apparently people can hear mutterings under the breath other times. So
we have it off.
unhooked this, even though it was off. I don't want anything said at council table heard,
All right,
period.
and then I don't know what the situation is with the mics that are on the back table, whether those are off.
No.
They're off.
Okay.
What we learned the last time is that mic is on.
That mic being the podium mic, which has to be on.
So we have to be more conscious. Sometimes the podium mic can pick up our conversation because we're closest to.
Mr. Maurice has something to add, and maybe he knows because he's a media guy. Y'all, I guess because y'all are plugged straight into the system, y'all get to hear way more than we get to through the ambient air. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I mean, I wish we could hear as well as the live stream apparently can, but there's nothing that can be done about that. All right. Anybody need to use the restroom while we're on a break? Go ahead and do that now. And do we, I mean, it doesn't matter, I guess, but do we think we'll get through this witness today? Are
No,
there
you're
gonna
not
be
gonna get through
other
this witness.
defense attorneys with cross? And then is there going to be redirect? I guess we'll just see what happens, but
To answer your question, at this point, no.
okay.
All right. I'm going out on a limb here, y'all. First of all, shout out to producer Jason because I am not muted. Good job there. Good job. All right. I'm going out on a limb here. Here's my conspiracy. If you're new to this channel, my name is Jason, and I like a little conspiracy every now and then. All right. This is it. I believe Adrian Love has garnered up all of this animus toward the camera. She hates the camera and she wants the camera out of there. I don't think she would want anything less than for us to be like, and I live here in Georgia, for us to be like New York and Chicago, where the reporters have to write on an old school sketch pad and notepad and have to sketch the pictures. That's what she wants. That's all Adrian Love wants. She doesn't want anybody to hear her case. She doesn't want anybody in there, not at all. I told you all I've been looking for a quote from Judge Glanville. So that means I had to go back to the early time when they were selecting a jury. And back then it was kind of funny because they had a lot of defendants back then. It's like 18 defendants. So the whole courtroom was actually configured differently. And the prosecution was actually on the far side of the room looking at the camera. They were happy as a lark. They were happy as pigs in slop. They loved it. Oh yeah, because nobody could hear, nobody could see the shenanigans that are going on with the state. Well, now that they've reconfigured, of course, and their back is against the camera and the camera can see over their shoulder and see when Adrian Love is acting like a child and all that kind of stuff like that. There's big, super big problems with that. And I could be making this up. I could be totally off, but I just want you to think about it. How many times have you noticed there being a problem? And I call it the new media. How many times have you noticed that there's been a problem with new media? Remember the whole thing with the infamous Sylvia and talking about the jurors. And of course, this situation with Gaither and the microphones. How many times has she complained about the microphones? Can hear her, even though we showed the video where she literally turns on the microphone and starts whispering to, I think it was Atkins, while the microphone was on, and then said, people in TV land can hear us. We should probably do something about that. Now, I'm just wondering, it never seems to be an issue that Brian Steele gets in his feelings about. That Matthews, I know Matthews got a whole fan club over here, right? That Matthews gets in his feelings about. It's always the state, and even more than that is Adrian Love. Adrian Love wants I call it the new media again. She wants that camera out of there. If the camera is in there by the end of this trial, I would be very surprised. Now, granted, that camera might be obsolete by the end of this trial because it's going to go on so long, but whenever the trial ends, there will be no camera in that courtroom. That's what I'm going to say. That's it. There's no other reason for it, for all of this animus toward the new media. Now, again, there's some people that be doing some shenanigans, they do some hijinks, and it's such like that. But there's no more shenanigans and hijinks than what's happening at the state's table. There's no more shenanigans and hijinks than happens anywhere else in that courtroom, in that court building in the world. So I just something to think about. I want you to think about that. And again, I want to be wrong because I mean, for crying out loud, I have a Rule 22 myself. I could be down there. The reason I don't go down there is I don't want to be caught up in the craziness. Look, your boy ain't built for jail. I ain't there. I'm not there. So I don't want to go in there and have them talking to me crazy. Have them come up there to the podium and explain why this, that, and the other. I don't know. Why y'all talking about me? I ain't doing nothing. I ain't bothering nobody. That's why I don't go down there. Just be honest with you. I'd rather do this right here where I'm safe. I think I'm safe at the current moment. They don't know where my underground bunker. They don't know where my underground bunker is. I'm okay. But I just something to think about. I want you to ponder that. Play around with it. Keep it in your mind as we see what happens. Prayerfully, it won't. But I will not be surprised. I will not be shocked. I will not be clutching pearls or anything of that nature if you find out that new media is kicked out of there. Now, I do think it's interesting because the old media is never in there. And by old media, I'm talking about like the 11 Alives and the Fox News and all of these people. They're not in the courtroom. They're streaming it off of that one camera. They take that feed and they just stream it through Law and Crime or again, 11 Alive, Atlanta News First, all those Fox, all those guys. They're not in the courtroom. They're just actually working automatically, if you will. The streaming to their various and sundry channels happens almost automatically. They might come in there and check, make sure the software is working and everything's up to date, but the reporters are not in there. So the only people that are there to tell you what's going on, because I want to go back to the whole point of Darth Gaither breathing all heavy into the microphone. I'm going to go on a limb. There's no way in the world they didn't hear that. The way when you're in the courtroom and you hear them talking, I'm almost going to go on. I feel comfortable in saying that there's no way in the world they didn't hear that. There's no way. There's just no way. It was too clear. Just listen to how clear it was in the microphone. Oh, by the way, I dropped the link in the chat. I did a video pointing out the times that Darth Gaither was breathing all heavy into the mic and saying stuff under her breath. I dropped it in there. Check it out. It's a fun video. In a moment, I'm going to be jumping over with the Aussie Insider, and we're going to be talking about the Defense Rest podcast. We're going to be talking about the Karen Reid trial. Hopefully, it'll be a little less dramatic, right? Nothing to see here. There's no drama, no shenanigans going on over there. But we'll be shifting over there in about 16 minutes. So I just think that's really interesting. I really believe in my mind. Again, I got a little bit of tin foil in my hat. There's a little tin. There's a little pin right there. There you go. Little tin foil in my hat. All of this is orchestrated to get the media out of the courtroom. Because think about it. Thugger Daily, Twitter is kicking this court's butt. All of that information comes from where? The fact that we're the new media. Now, there are reporters that do report, but they're literally watching the live stream and just updating it on Twitter. They're not actually physically in the courtroom. So people like Sylvia and people like other not newscasters, but bloggers and trial vloggers and new media that are in the courtroom, that's a big difference. Because then you can say, like, I can tell you what the courtroom shape looks like. I can tell you, like, I can tell you what Brian Steele looks like. I can tell you, by the way, a fun story. We know that Adrian Love comes in late because the cameras usually focus in that direction. I'm not trying to call him out, but there's a lot of the defense that also comes in late, but we never see him because the camera is never in that direction. Usually when Judge Whitaker comes in, they're usually there by then. But they come in pretty late too. They be coming in on two wheels, but I ain't dogging my people out. My point in that is that's something that you don't see because you're not privy to it. If I go to court, I can tell you what is going on in the behind the camera, as I like to say. Adrian Love doesn't want that. She does not want that. And I really believe that having Gaither in there, and she fought tooth and nail for Gaither to be on camera. If you remember the beginning of the week, they were like, well, she's been on television. She's been featured on television. Why are we not allowing her to be on camera? Because the defense knew, I don't know if they actually knew it, but they probably perceived it, that this is what was going to happen. That there's shenanigans and foolishness. And guess what? We had shenanigans and foolishness. So it is not odd to me at all that Adrian Love fought so viciously to not have her on camera. Oh, and by the way, the whole picture of Darth Gaither in the booth being examined by Adrian Love, I can't help it. There's no way in the world that was a mistake, because it happened twice. Most people don't realize it happened twice. And the image was on there quite some time. So your boy ain't screenshot nothing. Y'all go ahead and do that on your own. That's why I ain't got no pictures of Darth Gaither on my page. I ain't doing none of that foolishness. But it happened twice. So am I to believe that both of those are mistakes? And then this is the part that, again, I'm just here to cause chaos. You do realize who was controlling the live stream to put up the video that they were examining, right? Oh, you don't know? Oh, I'm sorry. It was a defense. No, it wasn't. It was the state. Who's responsible for that? That was the state. It was the state's fault. Dare I even say it was right there at that table. Go back and watch it. It wasn't Brian Steele. It wasn't Kokomo that was running the live stream. It wasn't Brian Steele that was putting up the video evidence. It wasn't. It was Simone Hilton and Adrian Love. So for them to immediately turn around and blame Maurice, well, first of all, you could tell from the image of the picture that it wasn't a picture taken in the courtroom. You knew that from the word go. You knew that. I mean, again, just being honest, Judge Whitaker could probably have been able to ascertain that without making a lot of, assumptions and dragging those two. I think the woman's name is Nicole and then Simone and then Dr. Hall up there there was no reason to do that. All you had to do was look at the picture. You could tell this is a picture from above the courtroom. Ain't nobody floating above the courtroom. Come on, that's pretty simple. But I digress. It happened twice. How did it happen twice? I don't know. Is it possible? Maybe just possible. That was an orchestrated, we're going to put this up on the screen, screenshot it, send it to Judge Whitaker so we can blame the people behind us so we can get them out of here, because we want them to get out of here because they're watching us cheat in 4K. They're watching us be unprepared in real time. And we don't want that. We're tired of that heat behind us. So we're going to do this again. Because it's almost every week now. Every week, because remember last week, it was they could hear us talking. Maybe it was the week before. It was last week or the week before. Y'all remember it though. Remember that the state was arguing, they can hear us whispering to our neighbors, even though I literally have just pushed the talk button on the microphone, but they can hear us whispering. Remember that? Yeah, that was them. Never did. It seems to be like the defense can never turn on their microphones so we can hear them, because we actually want to hear them, but the state can never turn off their microphones and we don't want to hear them. I don't know. Maybe I'm just making something up. Maybe it's my fault. Maybe it's me. It could be me. It's not. It's them. So in any case, I think they are. Yeah, Rome King has made a great point. The young lady that we saw on that in the courtroom at the podium, she actually lost the media contract because of these allegations, knowing that they was wrong. Y'all seen the picture. Y'all have seen it. You know good and well that picture was too far above. It's coming from the air. And mind you, and I've even pointed out on my live stream, you can see the picture over Adrian Love's shoulder. Wait, y'all knew that, right? Hold on.
who isn't supposed to be.
Okay, I'm just gonna pull this up real quick, y'all. I promise you. The only reason I'm bringing this up is because I just want y'all to see. Okay, this is the time when I think her last name is Hall. Please forgive me. Very nice lady, very kind. She's actually come on the channel, and I apologize. Now, look at Adrian Love right there. All right. I'm gonna go back to my school days. All right, everybody, get your pointer fingers. I'm gonna be real trifling. I'm gonna use the other side. Big screen. All right, got your pointer finger, right? Put your pointer finger on Adrian Love. Okay. Now put your finger on the laptop. Does everybody put your finger on the laptop? Let me stop this. Okay. Do you see right there in front of her? Do you see the screen? That's the image that was sent to Judge Whitaker. It's literally on the screen right now. And they drugged that lady through the mud. And rather than do the right thing, which wasn't acknowledge, look at it. If you looked at the picture, you would know that it did not come from ground level. That's all I'm saying. You can see quite clearly that picture right there, right? The one in the, there's a monitor screen right there. There's a picture on the left and a picture on the right. And the picture on the left right there is the image that Darth Gaither was in that somebody screenshotted. That's it. I did, to me, and again, I don't know, and I'm gonna tell y'all real quick because some people maybe you don't know me. You might be like, yeah, I just met this guy, Jason, whatever like that. I don't know much about him. I'm a former classroom teacher. I live here in Atlanta, Georgia. I like to give social and political commentary from a Christian male perspective. There was a time last week when I used to treat this trial very seriously and circumspect. Now I don't care anymore. I'm going to make fun of them. I'm going to mock them because they don't take this case seriously. The idea and the notion that these 6 men are fighting for their lives, that's not hyperbole. They're fighting for their lives and their freedom, seems to be lost in the haze of Adrian Love, Simone Hilton, Christian, and Judge Whitaker just doing whatever. The fact that, let me just say it again, the fact that they don't have court on Monday and Tuesday, and they're not like, we got to get this done because these men need to either A, go to prison, or B, be let go. Those are the options that are available to them. That's it. But y'all keep playing patty cake. They've been out of court longer. I think I want to know, somebody can do the math for me. Once court started up to today, I think that they've been out of court much longer than they've actually been in court. Well, we know that for a fact it was almost out of court for 2 months with Woody. I'm just bringing my point here. So all of these shenanigans, all of these hijinks, all of these tomfooleries and such of that nature only go to show and prove what I believe is very obvious and clear, that these people are not serious about this case. When I call it money laundering, this is why I call it money laundering. There's a lot of money that's come into Fulton County to excise this case. Same thing with the Trump interference case. There's a lot of money that's come in there. Where's it going? Where's the money going? Because Lord knows it's not going to microphones. I think we can all agree about that. It is not going to audio video in One Charlie. It is not doing that. Where's it going? Where's all this money going? And then keep in mind also that there is an end to the amount of money that Young Thug and them actually have. So it's a war of attrition. When I say it's a war of attrition, I mean that they're just literally trying to wait them out. They just want to wait them out. How long can we drag this out to you until you just say, hey, fine, I'm guilty. I'll take a plea, whatever it is. Just something to think about, something to ponder. So I really wanted to do that and just kind of go over that. I wanted to hear a little bit more from you all. So I apologize that we didn't get a chance to do that, but we'll do it again. Now, I did do a video series on the argumentation for, there we go. I spoke you up. Did I speak you into existence? It's Dr. Hall. This is a young woman who we just looked at right here. Shout out to her. This is that young lady right there. Great personality, wonderful smile, and wonderful disposition in light of the situation that's gone on. If you don't mind, Dr. Hall, drop your link in the chat, or if the moderators already have it, if y'all could drop her link in the chat, I would love for you to go by and check out her channel, support her, and let her. She's not shooting to be a YouTuber or anything of that nature, but I think it'd be a great way to just let somebody know that we support her, especially in the fact that she was falsely accused by the state as well as the court, and she's kept a good disposition about it. I think that'd be good to go by and just let her know that we appreciate her and shout her out. So, hey, thank you so much, Dr. Hall, for stopping by on today. Now, I want to go back and finish this up. So I did a video series on the argumentation at the beginning of, it was a pretrial motion about using rap lyrics in criminal cases. And if you've been following, I've been dropping, it was actually 8 hours long. That's a little bit lengthy, even for me. So I cut it short and I dropped several different videos. And so the last 2 of them will be coming up tomorrow. And today's was Brian Steele's making his argument, as well as yesterday was Max Shard, as well as the state and Doug Weinstein in that. And then tomorrow we'll get the verdict from Judge Weinstein. And then I'm also going to just put the whole thing out as well. So if you do want to listen to the whole thing unedited and unbroken up, you can do that as well. My point in that was to just give you an opportunity to hear how we got here. And one of the big tenets that Fonnie said was, if you confess a crime, don't do it to a beat, because you're going to get charged here in Atlanta. I think that's a bad precedent. And again, I argue that you don't see this in anywhere else. You don't see this, again, I don't want Keanu Reeves to get brought up on some kind of charges because he played John Wick. Shout out to John Wick. I don't want, why can I not think of my guy's name? It's Dom Toretto from Fast and Furious, but I don't want him brought up on charges because he's got a movie about street racing and running from the cops and breaking all kinds of law. No, that just doesn't even make sense. So I bring that up because this case had a foundation point of using rap lyrics as evidence for crimes. And I just want y'all to check it out. I don't mind you give me your feedback. You can disagree with me. Absolutely. I appreciate disagreement and pushback. But I really don't feel like they argued this case well. And I don't have the Dunning-Kruger effect. Don't get on me. Don't y'all come at me. Don't y'all come at me. I don't think that they just argued this case well, because at the end of the day, and again, I told you this before, me saying that I'm out doing drive-bys, throwing gerbils at people, and then I get arrested for bank robbery, my rap about throwing gerbils at people has nothing to do about bank robbery. Now, if I said that I'm going to be doing bank robberies and I outline in detail, or to some degree, me doing a bank robbery, that could be problematic. There could be some real problems there. But we're not talking about a pound for pound. And the cases were made, but I don't think they were clear. So I want you to check that out. I actually have a playlist called Rap in Court, or Court Against Rap, or something like that. Rap lyrics, that's what it's called. Sorry about that. I'll make sure I drop it in the chat. In a minute, we're about to jump over to my interview with the Aussie Insider, as well as Court as Dismissed podcast. So I'm going to end the stream right now. We're going to all get jettisoned over to the other podcast. So I'll see you all in a moment. Everybody, see you soon. Grace and peace.